not even at the consulate, as I understand it, but at this nearby safe house. Now, Kumu was in Guantanamo for 5 years. He was trained. He was prepared for his new career. The only way you get out of Guantanamo is if you swear that you're going to do what the CIA tells you to do from then on for the rest of your life. And that's what Kumu undoubtedly did.
No, I mean, they've had suicide bombers, everything. They come out of there. They admittedly have a CIA base within the base where they engage, this is even mainstream news, in mind control, drugging. They've got drugs where they can stop your heart and then sit there and have you beg. Well, I mean, just incredible what they do.
Right. So if Kumu kills Ambassador Stevens, the question has to go to the CIA, and I would say in particular to the CIA Mormon Mafia, the people in the CIA who feel that their careers will be favored by Romney, and they will, because there will be unbelievable Mormon nepotism.
Look, I got to say this, Webster. I want to get into the economy. We covered this for half an hour yesterday. That's fine to get into the Mormon Mafia, all this other stuff. We've already said it.
But this who's doing it.
No, I know we covered it yesterday. I want to get into the economy when we come back. But here's the deal. You were against Obama. Now you're against Romney. How can it's all
I'm against the ruling class. I'm against the ruling class and their main line. Now, here's the other problem we have. If you want to take power, you need to have a political movement, an independent political movement with a program to take power. If you're not ready to take power, you're automatically reduced to trying to maneuver between 2 or 3 or whatever they are existing alternatives. So we needed to be building an independent alternative over the last couple of years.
That didn't happen.
And it didn't happen. So now we're reduced again to trying to see which is the more dangerous. I would say Romney is the more dangerous at this point simply because he's surrounded by these neocons.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
We're going back to Webster Griffin Tarpley here in just a moment. As you notice, the real world is not just some simple thing of, here's the brown-skinned Muslims, let's nuke them and we'll be safe. And here's the blue-shirted TSA man that's going to take your son or daughter behind closed doors to make sure bin Laden isn't hiding in their underwear. Or, oh, the FBI's watching you with face-scanning cameras. The ruling system wants an authoritarian takeover. They are waging war against small farms, businesses, everything. Bad guys run things. And playing into this whole deal of who's better or who's worse, I'm not doing it. But I think it's important to analyze the different camps to discredit that system so that people understand what we're facing. Okay, I just wanted to read a few of these headlines before we go back to Webster and he can get into Tarpley. I mean, Tarpley can get into Mitt Romney and what he thinks about that. Even though we covered it yesterday, that's fine. Different audience will cover that. And then we'll get into what I got him on about, the economy and where he sees that going. But world on the verge of war. We've got South Africa shooting people with rubber bullets at miners. We've got Spain, Greece, Portugal have resumed protesting austerity. People are looting grocery stores in Spain. U.S. embassies have been attacked in Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Morocco, Sudan, Lebanon, India, Bangladesh, Indonesia. Pakistan's got different facilities being attacked. Japan is appropriating Chinese contested islands, provoking a firestorm of retaliation, including demands for war with Japan. The Japanese ambassador to China dies mysteriously. Netanyahu's telling Meet the Press Iran will make a nuke in 7 months and must be stopped beforehand. Warships from 25 countries, including the United States, Britain, France, Saudi Arabia, UAE, are launching a military exercise, Strait of Hormuz, pre-planned. Yeah, this whole thing's pre-planned. A third U.S. aircraft carrier, the CVN-74 Stennis carrier, is en route to Iran with ETA of about 10 days. And finally, a potential catalyst to light the whole mess on fire, Iran's Revolutionary Guard announcing that troops are now on the ground in Syria. Tell us something we don't know. And it goes on and on. That's on Infowars.com. A war on the verge in the Middle East? A world on the verge of war? That's the question. All right, Tarpley, you got the floor until we end this hour. Take it away with Romney and what you really think's happening. I respect your view. Doesn't mean I totally agree with it, but it may be the case. The system's certainly starting to turn against Obama at certain levels. And, you know, in the media, normally that's lapdog is like really grilling him on these ridiculous statements that, you know, the few protesters killed the ambassador and the Navy SEALs. Ambassador Susan Rice, Libya attack not premeditated. What does that mean? Why does the system want Romney in your view? And then please give us your breakdown on where the world financial system is right now and where you see QE going in the future.
Well, the Wall Street establishment, it seems, wants Romney. He's one of them, after all. He's a hedge fund hyena. He's a corporate raider. He's a vulture capitalist, and he's the kind of guy that will not only give them what they want in terms of loot, which Obama has largely done, but he'll also give them the honor in society that Obama can't give them because it would screw up Obama's relations with his own base. They generally object to Obama not so much for what he does, but for what he says, right? Obama's got to cover his left flank by bad-mouthing Wall Street, and they don't want that anymore. They want everything. They want the loot and the honor. They want to be hailed as the saviors of the country. So we've gone through, I think, that without the CIA and without that CIA Mormon mafia, I would strongly guess, you couldn't have Kumu and that group of, let's say, Guantanamo trainees coming to kill the ambassador Stevens in Benghazi. Notice that the extreme reactionaries and neocons are now putting out that the ambassador was homosexual, as if this somehow made this less of a crime. It's a very, very strange thing. So you'd have to look at homophobic forces in the intelligence community. I think it takes us back to precisely that same group. So you mentioned the National Security Agency, or should I say Google. You mentioned Google refusing to take down this stupid, scurrilous film. They have merged practically with the NSA, as you pointed out. And let's not forget, Dan Senior, who is now one of the top advisors to the Romney campaign. Dan Senior is the guy who tells Paul Ryan what to say, what to do on foreign policy. Dan Senior was attached to Google, I think, in a pretty high post. The other side of it that I think is important is, where does this film come from? Forget about Sam Basile. Forget about this character, Nakula. That's the same person, allegedly. This is a little fish. This is some kind of a drug pusher who's gone into a deal with the feds, and he's therefore a controlled witness. No,
he's the classic snitch that they use to put people in prison. He's a classic cutout.
Right, but he's not. This is not the essential person. The person who actually signed for the permit to make the film and put out the casting call and actually had the premises, the studio where this was done, is this other guy, Nasrallah. And Nasrallah is a Coptic Christian. The Christians of Egypt are the Copts, and he's a big Coptic activist. And then we get right to the main issue, which is he's part of this thing called the Islamophobia Network. And this has been written up. There's a study of this by the Center for American Progress. Just look up Islamophobia Network, and you'll get all the names of these people. A lot of people would know Pamela Geller. She's sort of the chairwoman of this thing. It's international. They have Geert Wilders in Holland, a racist politician who just lost the elections at the beginning of last week. And they have something called Stop the Islamization of America, SIOA. And then they have another one called, and this is funny, Stop the Islamization of Nations, SION. So Zion, same difference, I guess. But you can see what this is. This is a group of people, I think, motivated by hatred, right? They're Islamophobic, but they're Islamophobic with a very definite agenda. And one of the people in this group, the thing that makes this most important is that John Bolton appears at their rallies, right? They had a rally. This was the group that put up a big fight about this mosque near Ground Zero, near the former World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan in August and September of 2010. They were feeling their oats. They had a big conference. Nasrallah was a speaker, the Copt who essentially made the movie, and then Ambassador Bolton, right, or Secretary Bolton. Now, Bolton is the guy who would probably be Secretary of State for Romney. So he's meshed with these scurrilous individuals in the Islamophobia network. So I think that's pretty clear, right, that you can look at it and say this movie or trailer or whatever it is a production of the Romney campaign. They did this. And I think it would be important for media to delve into this more, because it's a real